Hi, I'm Joshua Cassin, as Kim and Lisa introduced. Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm in the product team at Portainer.io, and as has been mentioned, and you might also pick up by my accent, that I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm also a neurodiverse thinker with high levels of empathy, so I do have social anxiety, and standing on the main stage at a conference with 600 plus people in the audience, it's literally my worst nightmare. In fact, I spent most of my working adult life hiding behind the sound desk, the lighting console, the video racks, literally standing behind spotlights, not in front of them. I've toured with artists, delivered creative projects such as turning New Zealand's Prime Minister into a hologram. I've managed a multitude of projectors for a 360-degree projection mapping to turn a building into an iceberg. I've sat in the corner of stadiums next to two very large projectors in case something went wrong with one, so I could manually switch to the backup projector by unplugging 4 cables and plugging them into the backup. Sometimes not so glamorous and can be rather boring. So what am I going to talk to you about today? Well, in the entertainment industry and the event world, there is a phrase that I'm sure you're all familiar with: the show must go on. So we're going to dissect what that means in the entertainment and event world, and how we can apply this mentality to Kubernetes and possibly even IT in general. Sorry, just getting together with the technology there. But the show will go on, so let's get started. So the show must go on may seem obvious to most, and if we take an example of a theatre production, there are many stories of a performer getting injured and continuing on with little disruption to the audience watching. But this can also happen with the technology. And I had one tour that I was working on. We had spent 7 days pre-programming the video servers and rehearsing with the artists and the musicians and their band. And we had 2 days setting up on site, came in on the show day 6 hours early before doors. Everything was tested, everything was working. The show started and the server froze. What are the odds, right? It was unresponsive. The pre-programmed transitions and effects and timings weren't being adhered to, just nothing. And did I mention the band was playing, the artist was singing, there were specific timing cues about to happen, and the artist's family was actually standing next to me at the front of house. So with some quick reprogramming of a MIDI controller, I was able to regain control of the GUI, because when I went to switch to the backup didn't work. So, you know, odds, right? So all of this was worked out in a really short time frame. Really quick processing, and it was about making sure that the show goes on, right? So while I'm manually running the transitions with this MIDI controller, making sure everything is connecting, hitting the time cues, there's a team of people backstage trying to work out how to get that second server working and make it so that I didn't have to do that. That did not happen. I ran the entire show on a MIDI controller, manually fading transitions, manually clicking the next cue, and and no one really noticed until the next day, and I got a call from the artist to come to his hotel room and discuss the show last night. And we sat down, and he was like, 3/4 of the way through the show, you missed this timing by half a bar. Why was that? And I explained everything that had happened, everything that I had to manually do, and how we're kind of lucky that that's all that happened. That's all that went wrong, is that I missed it by half a bar because I miscounted. And that's why we pre-program things and automate stuff, right? We remove the elimination of human error. And so he agreed it was luck, but it wasn't really just luck. It was actually down to how, sorry, just lost myself in my notes there. So it was actually down to how I and others in the entertainment industry actually approach things. So the point is whether it's a broken rib, a stubbed toe, an unresponsive software issue, or dead hardware, by any means necessary, the show must go on. There is not the possibility to stop the show because I didn't get my full lunch break or because I didn't have the second coffee this morning. Can you imagine going to Beyonce or Taylor Swift or U2 or Iron Maiden and going, hey, I know there's 40,000 people sitting outside, but could we just push the show by 15 minutes, an hour, 2 days, 3 weeks, a month, a year? Not really possible. So what this generates is a context and a certain tone. People can't come back later to see the show. They're available now, and you must do it now. So this isn't too dissimilar to the world of Kubernetes. Your website or your app needs to be up and available. So hopefully, by the end of this talk, we'll have covered some topics that help you think about this differently. Some thought processes that help us with this mentality and have us prepared for when challenges strike, and remembering problems aren't just challenges, problems are just challenges. We just don't know the solution to yet. And challenges can be solved. They just may require resources and time to do so. So 3 takeaways or 3 key topics that we're going to talk about is looking for problems, having a plan, and baptism of fire. So very early on in my career, I had a chat with a good friend and a mentor about sitting in a conference breakout session, not too dissimilar to this, just a smaller room, because we're from New Zealand and things are smaller in New Zealand than they are in Texas. Doing what was referred to as babysitting. Usually this was a scenario with limited tech going on and not much to monitor. You're just adjusting things occasionally during the session, but you were there just in case something went wrong. So most people would sit and read a book, play solitaire, read a magazine, and tune out, basically, because they just didn't see a lot to be done. But he would sit there and he would come up with scenarios. What happens if the projector turns off? The speakers start hissing. The stage lights stop working. Is it affecting one or all, or how could I keep the show going? And he would list off the solutions, options in an order of least to most intervention. So option 1, try and fix it. Cons, it could take a while with the fault unknown. Fault could be in the ceiling space. The lectern spotlight could be turned on if the stage wash had suddenly dropped out, but then the presenter could be standing here in darkness, and how do you get them to walk over to the lectern? So that's a little bit of a con or a challenge to overcome while you're trying to fix things and understand what else is going on. You could also just turn on the room lights and hope that you don't wash out the projection screens. So it didn't stop there with those options. He had a hypothetical problem with a bunch of hypothetical solutions. Based off these, what could he do next time to be better? So for next time, he makes sure that he tells the presenter to always stand in the light. So if you feel comfortable, the audience probably can't see you. Move to the light, and that solves the problem that if the light dims or fails on one part of the stage, they will walk to that other area. And he always checked religiously that if he turned on the house lights, that the projector system wouldn't be washed out. So he had backups. He had systems and plans that he then implemented next time to make sure that if something did change or there were challenges, he had options, and options that he knew existed and would work. So just like my mentor, who would envision potential issues in a seemingly quiet tech environment, in Kubernetes, we need to proactively monitor for possible points of failure. So let's take a Kubernetes cluster handling popular apps traffic. We implement monitoring and logging tools like Prometheus and Grafana to keep an eye on resource utilization, response times, error rates. We simulate traffic spikes using chaos engineering tools like Litmus or Gremlin to see how our system behaves under stress. If a pod crashes, Kubernetes self-healing mechanism restarts it, but we also set up horizontal pod auto-scaling to automatically adjust the number of pods in response to load changes, ensuring the show goes on without a hitch. So you need to have a plan, and you need to communicate that plan. I took this to heart, and I'm really glad I did. So one time when I was miking up an English comedian or actor who will remain slightly nameless, but he did appear in Monty Python. And I actually have a slight claim to fame around this. And I told him I would always tell this story at every opportunity I got. I made him laugh. While I was miking him up, I told a little joke, and he actually had a good little belly chuckle laugh. And I turned to him and I said, I'm going to tell everyone I can ever tell that I made John Cleese laugh. And he said, I would if I was you. So there we did. That's my little name drop for the night. So while we were miking him up and he was about to talk to 2,500 people, I said, if your microphone stops working for any reason, don't panic. I'll be working on it at the back of the room, frantically trying to fix the issues for you. And of course, what happened? His mic failed. About 5 minutes into the presentation. Now, I want to be clear, I'm telling you problems that happened, but I spent almost 20 years in events, and these are only a couple of problems. So I did have other successes in life. So he paused, he looked at the back of the room, because I told him I'll be at the back of the room frantically working it out. So in that moment, I had to make a lot of quick decisions. And I grabbed a handheld microphone, made sure it was live on the desk, and started running up that aisle, because it was a long aisle, and got to the stage, handed it to him, and he picked it up, and he went, just in case any of you were worried, I was not, because I knew Josh had it fixed. And so this comes back to the communication. He wasn't panicked, although he's a consummate performer and has probably dealt with bigger problems than what I'm talking about today. He was comfortable, he knew what was going on, and therefore the audience was comfortable and relaxed, and the show went on seamlessly. And you never saw a report in the news about a microphone failing, so winning. So communicating the plan is crucial. Before deploying a new app version, you perform canary releases, gradually rolling out changes to a small subset of users before full-scale rollout. This is akin to giving a presenter a heads up about possible mic issues. If a problem arises, like a new version causing errors, Kubernetes rollout strategy is our handheld mic. You can quickly roll back to the previous stable version, plus you can have a disaster recovery plan. Regularly scheduled backups and a multi-region setup using tools like Valero and Crossplane. This ensures that if one region goes down, you have another ready to take the stage. So let's also take the time to mention at this point that these mentalities can also be applied to many layers in an organization. So not just at the coalface. So for example, in product and engineering management, similar to when I was devising themes or key messages and desired impact of an event, there were many times that an artist or a client had a sudden pivot of direction. In these instances, it wasn't just about making a quick fix or about understanding the new direction, its implications, and quickly adjusting our plan to accommodate the shift without compromising the quality of the production. So, as the saying goes, you don't know what you don't know till you know it. Well, we used to see a lot of newcomers come through full of enthusiasm and exuberance. So in the heat of the moment, you quickly learn how prepared you actually are for the scenario. But it is invaluable learning as long as it can be done in a controlled manner. But we're talking about a live event like this now and something failing, and how do you do that in a controlled manner? So having a more seasoned person by your side, ready to assist and guide, can be invaluable. And if you are that seasoned person and you're doing something, having another seasoned person can be by your side, ready to assist, and makes that first time far less risk. So as the saying goes, two heads are better than one. I was also working with a sound engineer at one time. He was hired because he was extremely talented and showed a lot of potential. So we had a process that your first few gigs you should have a shadow, and I was his shadow for this event. It was an awards dinner. I stood right next to him all through rehearsals and sound check. Made sure he knew everything that was needing to be done. He had checklists, he'd done everything. He was good to go. The show came, we started, the award show was off, and the show caller called for the walk-up music to play, and there was silence. He had missed something, but in that time, you can't explain what's missed, you need to step in. So I stepped in, I hit a couple of buttons, and it was mere microseconds, and again, the audience had no knowledge that there'd been a slight miscue. It just felt natural and fluid. But he stepped back and went, "I'm done, Josh, you take over." To which I replied, "No, you've got this, step up. You have got it under control, you know what needs to happen, you now know what can go wrong, fix it." And so he ran a seamless show from there. Didn't miss a single beat, everything was absolutely perfect. The award show was a great success, and even the show caller had forgotten about the mistake at the start of the night. So it just goes to show what can be done if you create these support networks, and how valuable the learning is from baptism by fire. I'm actually still very good friends with him, and last time we caught up, we actually spoke about it, and the amount of learning that he actually learned from that night, he still takes with him to this very day. He's also in IT now as well, and has also moved away from events, just as a side note. So let's translate this back into the IT world. So imagine a junior DevOps engineer is deploying their first Kubernetes cluster. They've studied, they've simulated many scenarios, but during the live deployment, an unexpected issue occurs. A misconfigured service causes a critical pod to crash. This is their baptism of fire. Instead of panicking, they utilize clusters redundancy. They've set up pod replicas across multiple nodes. They quickly identify misconfiguration using the detailed logs. They apply a fix, and the cluster's resilience allows for uninterrupted service. So their preparation and the cluster's design principles turn a potential disaster into a seamless experience for the users. So we need to remember that Kubernetes, while powerful, is just another tool in our tech toolbox. When things go awry, knowing your tools and how to wield them is paramount. So our key takeaways are: anticipate potential issues, stay vigilant and use monitoring to predict and prevent problems, have contingency plans, establish clear plans and communicate them. Use Kubernetes features like rollbacks and auto-scaling as your safety net. You'd think I was inventing a new Kubernetes feature there for a second with my mispronunciation. Expect the unexpected, embrace the learning curve, practice experience, and understanding Kubernetes self-healing, scaling capabilities will guide you through unforeseen challenges. So in conclusion, by adopting a show must go on mindset, we anticipate potential disruptions. We prepare detailed contingency plans and embrace on-the-fly problem solving to ensure our Kubernetes deployments are as reliable and resilient as the most well-rehearsed performances. Let's keep our Kubernetes show thriving with the curtain forever up. And on the flip side of all of this, as the saying goes, if it aren't broke, don't fix it. If a tree falls in the woods and no one notices, did it really fall? I.e., even if your kube cluster is screaming with errors, if the app is up and performing well, is it really an issue? Sometimes fixing a non-service impacting issue causes service impacting issues. So on that note, thank you very much, and thank you for your time. If you enjoyed, please reach out and connect with me. Thank you.